Oh, welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, June 20th show. I'm here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money, talk with my guest, ask me any questions directly. I'm here to assist in any way that I can. And in studio right now, I have Mike Wall with Mike Wall Music. And I'm excited to talk to Mike today about healing and music and the combination of the two of those. And then we'll put a little nature twist in there as well. Mike, thanks for coming in. I'm excited to have a chat with you for the first time.
Thanks very much for having me on today. It's an honor to be here with the guests and your listeners. And
Thank you, Mike. And a little background about Mike. Mike Wall is a musician, nature sound recordist, and massage therapist, focusing on creating resources for healing, empowerment, and positive transformation. For 10 years, he has worked closely with therapists of a variety of modalities to co-create music and soundtracks designed to meet their needs and the needs of his clients. Mike owns 2 successful businesses and thrives on collaboration. In the previous life, Mike worked over 20 years in the electrical engineer, design, and management. So curious to see how those two come together, Mike. And I have to say something a little bit of personal for myself, and that's why I'm so excited to talk to Mike, because music is just amazing. Anytime that I'm in an area that I don't feel that I'm at my best emotionally, I have all my favorite music, and I love nature. You know, Mike, my neighbors bring me little frogs because I love the chirping of frogs and the crickets. I'm the only one in my entire cul-de-sac. Everybody else just doesn't seem to have the same effect as I do. But anyways, I know that there are a lot of healing things for us when it comes to music, and I'm just really excited to talk with you and the arts that you do. So let's start out with what does it mean to be a musician, nature sound recordist, and massage therapist, and how do these things all relate? Tell me, listeners.
Sure, that's exactly it. It's sort of a big mouthful, of all this stuff. And so there's always kind of the short answer and the longer answer. So the music that I create, as we've been saying, is music to support the healing arts. So I work with acupuncturists, yoga teachers, naturopaths, massage therapists to create music that works for them and for their clients and patients. And also, obviously, I'm thinking about individuals out there that are just need some sounds to help them sleep or meditate, or to sort of bring that massage experience home with them, so they can listen to it and kind of get that recall that experience.
And I bet it's like any other profession, industry we're talking about, it's really catering to what your clients' needs are and finding out what is special for them, correct?
That's exactly it. And clients includes,
I get frogs and crickets.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. That's it. And clients include those practitioners too, because it's important for them to be happy with whatever the music is. They don't want to fall asleep while they're trying to do their job, right?
Makes sense.
Right. So it's
driving. that would not be a good thing. So maybe there's driving music and there's sleeping music.
Right.
Yes.
No heavy machinery to be operated. Exactly.
So Mike, I really want you to share with my listeners, how did you get into this?
Sure. Well, so I've been a musician since I was about 13. And I started playing around with recording equipment as well. So and I had a penchant for the technical. So I ended up going to school for electrical engineering. Worked as an engineer for over 20 years. You can't see it over the air, but I have some gray hairs here.
Just a couple.
Yeah. But as an engineer, well into my career, I started taking on more and more responsibility, moving into program management, people management, process management, and the work became very stressful.
Yeah. And
one of the ways that I found relief and, frankly, staying sane was getting massage therapy. So I got massage therapy for wellness as well as for treatment type work. And then as you're receiving the therapy, of course, you're hearing all this music.
Yeah.
And as a musician, you're thinking, I wonder, could I do something along those lines, right? And I've also been into ethnic instruments, and I've been playing Native American flute for a long time and some other things. So I set forth to make, a massage CD. And what I did was, as I developed these soundscapes, I would give them to my practitioners, my massage therapists, and get feedback. And we would sort of iterate on it. And then when it got good enough, they would share it with other clients. And so I really tried to fine tune it to make it the best it could be.
Of course.
And I ended up finishing my first CD in 2007 while I was working at Microsoft. So that was kind of the short version.
So another story of how your passion brings you to what you do and your strength brings you to what you do. Now, I do mortgages and I was bad in math, so that's a whole nother topic I'm not sure how I bring me into, but I love helping people. So what about can you give define music and healing?
Right. So obviously, music can be healing in a lot of different ways to people, but what I'm focusing on here is stress reduction. And I'm trying to be very specific. If we're stressed out all the time, our bodies cannot heal. So I'm actually trying to swing you into that relaxed state. And I start with myself, frankly. I mean, does this music make my breathing rate slow down? Does it make my heart rate slow down? And then, of course, I'm assuming, but I know that it's going to lower my blood pressure.
Yes.
And then over time, those things can lower your stress hormone levels, and that gets you into more of that healing state. So that's kind of the thing. And starting with me, and then sharing it with other people. And the way I go about doing that is thinking about the instrumentation that I'm using, the tones or timbres that I'm using, the harmonies, the melodies. I don't want to make things that are too familiar to people because I don't want them to, be recalling memories while they're on the table. So there's a lot of limitations and boundaries that I put on myself, to make it very specific because I'm thinking about my audience.
And what an important thing that you're doing, Mike, because it really is about how can we be the best that we can be at work so that we can enjoy our environment that we're at, and how can we be the best for our spouse and our children. And really it starts with us and how we feel, and being able to heal that through music is just a beautiful thing. So tell me more about nature sounding recording and why this?
Right. So I mentioned I kind of had a penchant for the technical side. So my earliest memories are literally of my dad's reel-to-reel audio tape recorder. So, the experience of that gizmo, I think affected me really early on, and it still does. And then I've been experimenting with recording and capturing sounds really all my life since childhood. So I find respite, rejuvenation, inspiration in nature. That's where I go to recharge. And I know obviously you can relate to that.
Yes.
So it's a big challenge to go out there with your microphones and your recorder and to record and then try to bring that experience back into the studio so that you can recreate that for somebody on their home stereo speakers or in their headphones. It's very, very difficult. So it's a fun challenge, and you can only approximate it, but that's something I love doing. So that technical aspect of it, but the point of it is really reconnecting you with a place, a space, and an experience that is healing and moving and emotive to you. So instead of taking photographs, I do a lot of audio soundscape recording.
Nice. And Mike, I know, being an engineer for many years, huge career change. I know you mentioned one of the reasons for the transition is just because you yourself was stressed out and overwhelmed with this work that you were doing, and what a great thing that you were actually able to disconnect from that and get into something you're passionate about, because there's so many people out there, and I'm sure that you might be listening right now as one of my listeners are going, gosh, I'm just really stressed and overwhelmed at work, and the reality of actually making that change. So that was the primary reason that you transitioned into your new line, correct?
That's right. So I released my first CD in 2007. I also left Microsoft and went to work for a small company and took a director of engineering position.
Okay.
And then, we all know what happened to the economy in 2008, 2009. I was one of those that got laid off in 2009, but it turned into a huge opportunity, and it was a need for change for me. I mean, I was definitely on the hamster wheel to an early grave. Frankly, I was stressed out. So I used it as an off-ramp, as an opportunity. So a couple things happened. The first person, of course, I called when I got laid off was my wife. And the second person was my now business partner and he's been a mentor all along. So he helped me promote my first CD. He sort of does new age music promotion. He's also a musician. He's in Austin. So again, thanks for the internet for that.
Yes.
And we had been brainstorming some ideas of selling my nature sounds. Okay. And I should mention that my nature sounds, I use them in my music too, and that's the connection. So of actually selling nature sounds on iTunes. So we had some ideas, but I didn't have any time to work on that until I got laid off. So we immediately spun that up and put our first project together, and it did really, really well on nature sounds. A bunch of my recordings that I'd been doing for years. And I also went to massage school at that time. So that's when I went to massage school. So around about 2010, I'm fully sort of ensconced in this new path I'm on.
So, Mike, could you share just, one advice that you would have for a listener that is thinking of, getting out of their current corporate environment and looking at opening a new business and starting something new like you did? What would be one advice that you would have for them? One tip. One tip.
Well, don't quit your day job. Instead, treat your passion like a second job.
Okay.
And spend your energy there.
Okay, that's a great advice. Have you found benefits in leaving the corporate world and following your passion? Well, I know you have. And how much more of a relaxed person are you now that you've made that transition?
So it's night and day difference. When I was well into my engineering career, I ended up having problems with anxiety. And you've probably known people, or you're familiar with what an anxiety attack is like, and it's hell.
Yeah.
So I can say that I haven't had one of those since probably shortly after I made this transition. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal for me. Of course, there's different stresses, but I'm massively more fulfilled because now I'm co-creating with people that have shared values with me.
Yes.
And connecting with my end users, whether they be other practitioners or people just listening to my music, and it's incredibly rewarding.
That's awesome. And one pitfall that maybe something that you would have done a little bit different in that transition.
I think I had most of the bases covered, and the reason I did that is because I went and got a lawyer to help set up my business.
Yes.
I got a CPA to help with taxes. I went to my financial planner immediately. So I think the biggest deal was staying on top of finances. Honestly, I don't know that I would have done it any differently. And if I hadn't been pushed out of the corporate world, I'd probably still be there.
Yeah. I so appreciate that. If you actually go to my website, tinamitchell.com, you'll see my personal core practices, which are dream, be alert, and learn to fail, and quotes that I wrote around them. And learn to fail is life is balance with no exceptions. Every failure has an experience waiting on the other side. Make the decision to look for the gain and not focus on the loss. So what a beautiful thing with life being balanced. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the success is. And so just really an exciting show. Mike, I'm so happy that I had a chance to have you in studio for the first time. And thank you for sharing your passion and your business with my listeners. And I encourage any of you out there, if you've got some stress in your life, we all have stress, but really it's focusing on where you're at and trying to make yourself feel a little bit better. And I think as well, I coach and mentor and talk with people in my inspirational break that I do, that really when you're at your highest point, you actually need to be focusing on getting a little bit higher. And I think what you're doing can help. And that's where we really grow and continue to get at a higher alert level of what's important in life. So Mike, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It's a total honor.
Yeah. What a great show, you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you to my listeners. I appreciate all of you being here on the weekend listening to the show. I will definitely be back here next week, same time, same place. This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a great week. I'll talk to you next week.